Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3. 2 Peter 3. And read in verse 4, and saying, "Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished." It's chapter 2. Chapter 2, 2 Peter 2, verse 5, "And spared not the old world, but saved Noah the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly." You see the distinction? That God brought the flood on the whole world, but who perished? The ungodly. And so he is letting it be known there's a world of the ungodly, but he saved Noah and those 8 souls within the ark. They're the nations of them which are saved. That's another world. That's another world. So as far as God so loved the world, we have no problem in understanding that as referring to the elect, the ones who are truly saved. In 1 John 2:15, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Is God telling us not to love the streams, beautiful rivers, beautiful mountain landscapes? Is he telling us not to love the clear blue sky or the bright shining sun? No, no, no. It's not that. That's his creation. What does he mean by world? He means the things that men do that are wicked things. Men of the world use other men, or people get together and they develop programming that is wicked programming for television or for internet or magazines and novels and movies, and it's wickedness and they get together and conduct themselves wickedly, going to places they shouldn't go, going to nightclubs and involving themselves in things they should not involve themselves in. That's the world of the ungodly, and that's what we have been taken out of, as the Lord explains in 1 Peter chapter 4, in verse 2, it says that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, or the nations, when we walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? So you see, we come out. The Lord is drawing us. Be ye separate, as it says in 2 Corinthians 6 or 1 Corinthians 6. Come out of her, my people. Be ye separate, and we withdraw from the things of the world. Don't love the world. That strong attraction and desire. It pulled us in time past. We went after it. We enjoyed it. We loved it in our sinful condition. When we were a sinner in one whole personality, we had not yet been born again. God did not give us yet a new spirit. And then God came along and he drew us away from the world. And now he's giving us, very clear guidance. Do not love the world. Love in the Bible involves obedience. It involves submission, keeping of commandments. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Do them. Do them is love. To do what is right and good and proper is true love. Of course, the world knows nothing about right and good and proper. It desires that we do wickedly with them, that we run their way, away from God in darkness, and to do the things that are sensual and that satisfy lust, and it's the pleasures of sin of the world. And God is saying, no, don't listen to the world. Do not obey the world. Going back to the Garden of Eden, remember, it's a matter of obedience. Who are you going to obey? God that said, do not eat, or Satan who said, oh yeah, God does know in the day you eat thereof you'll be as God, and so forth. And then Adam and Eve obeyed the devil. They submitted themselves to the devil. They, in that way, showed love for the devil and for the lie. And don't people love the lie? They love the lie. They love Santa Claus over the birth of Christ for Christmas. They love Easter bunnies over the resurrection of the Lord. They love a free will gospel over the true gospel where God decides whom he will save and have mercy upon. The world loves the lie. And so a big part of not loving the world is no longer loving its lies. And we pull away from its lies, its allurements, its flashing lights that promise everything. And not only do they not deliver everything, they deliver the exact opposite oftentimes. Instead of good things, they'll deliver very bad things and evil things and destroy you. That's what the world does. Come. Oh, it's been so long since you've been to the bar and had a drink, and then you go, and after a bender, and it's as though you're waking up, and here you had a 3-car accident and people are dead, or maybe it's not that bad if God is merciful, and it's just an accident, or it's a ticket, a DUI, or you end up having trouble at home with the family, mess after mess after mess. That's what sin begets, and it's never up front. It's always the beautiful picture. Look at that tree. Oh, see how wonderful the tree is? It's got good fruit on it, and it's good for knowledge of good and for wisdom and knowledge, and you'll be like God. And see, it's all build up and build up and build up. Well, what did Adam and Eve get for their disobeying God and obeying the devil? What have we gotten throughout the whole history of the world, and even ourselves in our lives? What good has come from it? What good? And no good, no good. After we do go after that pleasure of sin for a season, and when you get older, it's not a season anymore. It's like an instant, and even during the instant, you have conscience about it. Afterward that you're going to be in misery and regret that you have done the thing. And we're so foolish. Sin has really dumbed us down tremendously. We're so stupid. We're so easy pickings to run after the things of the world as soon as they flash their lights, and as soon as, oh, look at this, remember this. Just think of the Israelites the Israelite people in the wilderness, and they're longing. They're longing. Can you imagine this? They just spent their whole lives as slaves in Egypt, suffering under cruel taskmasters, which means they would get the whip if they weren't filling their tail of the bricks. And they what did they have in that place that was really any good at all? And yet, once they're following God, once they're following the word of God and the sun starts to beat down, and God doesn't hide that from us, it is a way of affliction. It's a narrow way. It's a grievous way. It's a tough way, but it's an honest and good way. Yet once they start following that way, all of a sudden in their mind, they're building up Egypt. Oh, Egypt, Egypt, the melons, the leeks. Oh, how wonderful. And you see what a liar man is, even to his own self, especially to his own self. Hey, that's why his heart is said to be deceitful above all things. And he believes it. That's the most astounding thing. He believes it. And he begins talking about making a captain and returning to Egypt. Same thing as those that came out of the churches, as the church was turned into spiritual Egypt. And they were out, yes, very difficult. It's not easy. God doesn't hide it from us to obey him and serve him. It is very difficult. And so they started getting their eye just like someone who is looking at something they shouldn't look at, and it gets in the corner of their eye. Then they start playing around with it in their mind. And before you know it, they're back in the Presbyterian Church or the Reformed Episcopal Church or whatever church. And there they're sitting. There they're sitting. Are they glad they went back? Well, maybe initially because they get out from the hot sun. They get out from under, the heat that comes for the word of God's sake when you're aligned with that word. And God, who cares about what's going on in the churches now? The churches are of no consequence. God has nothing to do with them except punish them along with all the other unsaved inhabitants of the world. And there they sit. And are they thinking, oh, why did I come back here? Now I remember. Probably much like a drunkard that returns to drink. And after you drink, you remember, comes back quickly, deceive once more. That you could probably put on billions of tombstones.